She has started a school system that is changing many lives throughout the Bay Area and is being given the Dreamer of the Year award from the Young Dreamer Network this May. Enjoy this episode of Being the Difference as we talk to the founder and CEO of Summit Public Schools, Diane Tavenner, about her journey and the many challenges that she faced. Well, good morning, Diane.
Good morning.
So glad that you're here today. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
So, how does it feel to be receiving the Dreamer of the Year award this year from the Young Dreamer Network in May?
I feel very honored. I started Summit Prep 10 years ago, and when you start something and you're an entrepreneur, you have an idea and you believe in it, but you don't know if other people are going to believe in it. And so to 10 years later have the students who have gone to the school that was my idea is such an honor for them to think that I am a dreamer and that it was a dream and it's something important to them. And so it's just really, I feel very inspired and touched and just honored.
So now, why do you think that your journey is so special? What makes it so special? You must have faced many challenges, which is what makes a journey special. When pursuing a dream is the ability to overcome those challenges and be successful. So what challenges did you face and how did you overcome them?
I think the first challenge is that when you think of education and public education, the first thing that comes to mind is not entrepreneurial. Education is critically important. We all go through it. But if you look at the history of education in America, it's fairly static. It hasn't changed a lot. The schools that I went to look very much like the schools today that look very much like the schools that my grandparents went to. And so the number one challenge is how do you dream in education? How do you become an entrepreneur in education? It's not a system that's generally very receptive to that. And so I think that was the first challenge and continues to be a challenge. I think the second challenge is that, we're dealing with people's lives here and kids' lives and parents' lives and something that's really important. And so some of the traditional entrepreneurial behaviors like test and iterate and try new things are really scary things to do in education. People are much more comfortable with sort of doing what is tried and true, if you will, or what's familiar. And so I think those all add up to a really big challenge being getting people to imagine what is possible. And then be willing to try it and finding people who are willing to take that risk with you and then collaborate and grow and work together. And those are challenges that have persisted throughout, even today, because I don't view Summit schools as static schools. I think that while we're doing really amazing and great things, I can see all the things that we can continue to do better and ways we can continue to grow and evolve. And even now we have people who are in the schools who think, well, this is great the way it is. Why are we going to change it? And those were the entrepreneurs who came to somewhere new. And so I think that's a challenge that persists even today.
So why is it important for a school or organization to be constantly evolving, as you described with Summit Public Schools?
It's a great question, and I think that very early on, one of the board members who was one of the founders of the school said to me, if an organization's not growing, it's dying. And my gosh, that was, I had to really think about that for a long time. And I do think that there's something to sort of the energy and the passion and the innovation around ensuring that an organization stays relevant. And I do think that's some of what we're seeing in terms of problems in the public education system now. It just simply hasn't stayed relevant. We don't have schools in general that are designed to meet the needs of current society. We haven't been thoughtful about understanding the lives of our students. As I sit here with you in a studio with all this technology and your ability to do so many things as a student, and yet we put you in schools where they're almost like jails, where we tell you exactly what to do and where to go. And if we're not growing and evolving as an organization to recognize who we're serving, students, and what their lives are like, and bringing that into our schools and making that real, then we're going to quickly be irrelevant. And I think you see that, there are some really very well-respected people out there right now questioning the value of a college education and encouraging students to go and do real-world experience and not invest in that. And that says something to me about we need to be relevant as schools. We need to be actually performing in a way that's meaningful to kids, that's meaningful to preparing them for the lives that they are living and will continue to live. And so I think that's why it's imperative that an organization continually grows, continually develops, continually questions what it's doing and how it can do it better.
Now, I know a lot of individuals, they'll see a problem in the world. They'll see a problem with education or in society, but they don't do anything about it. Why did you decide to do something about it? What was that whole process like?
It's a great question. I think that I think that the opportunities to start Summit came through collaboration, and I do believe that that most entrepreneurial ventures are not a single person. I know we like to, sort of hold up these single entrepreneurs, but the truth is that they're always collaborative in nature. And so in my case, I felt like I saw lots of problems in education. I was trying to work towards them sort of within the system, if you will, but felt like I wasn't getting where I needed to go. And so when a group of people came along and had a similar vision about starting a school that was actually the way I imagined it could and should be, that was the first step to really saying, let's take a big leap and make this happen. And then the second piece is just a really passionate belief in a vision of something better. And that is the constant throughout all of this. And that's really what has carried me through the most challenging times, is a vision and a belief that is very passionate and very deep in me of what we can do in education. And I think that's a really necessary ingredient.
So Summit Public Schools has certainly grown a lot since its birth. And so where would you like to see it in the future, 10 years or so? How would you like it to expand, spread, and evolve?
Great question. Right now we are serving about 1,000 students between Redwood City and San Jose. In the next 10 years, I want Summit Public Schools to be serving at least 6,000 students between San Jose and South San Francisco. I want us to have 14 schools because I want every student along that entire corridor to have the option of a school that really suits their needs. And in doing so, I want Summit Public Schools to provide a picture, a dream, if you will, of what's possible in schools. And so I want us to keep continuing to evolve and iterate and design and imagine all of the things that schools can be and can do for students. And so I want our schools to be sort of beacons of the dream, of the future, of what's possible. And I want us to then use that vision that we have to collaborate with others to make sure that every single student has an option for a school that best fits them. In my wildest dreams, in 10 years, there would be no more lotteries to our schools because every single school in our area would be serving kids in the way they need to be served. So no student would need to be looking for a space and hoping that they're going to get into a school that will be best for them.
So for those who are not familiar with Summit Public Schools, could you explain a little bit about the organization, what makes those schools unique? Summit
Public Schools is a network of charter schools. And so as charters in California, we have a lot of freedom about how we educate, and we're just held to very high standards for the outcomes that we get with students. And so our mission is very clearly to prepare every one of our students, regardless of their background, regardless of their preparation, for success in college and career and community life. And in doing that, we take an approach of a very small environment that's very personalized, that's very individualized, that really focuses on ensuring that the individual student who comes into the community is not only prepared academically, but has the real behaviors and dispositions and engagement and experience in community and college and career readiness activities that will enable them to be successful in college and life. And we believe that this sets students up to have as many choices, as many doors open as possible when they leave our schools. And so some of the ways that we do that, we have really high quality teachers who are very skilled at not only teaching students academic content, but in mentoring them and coaching them and guiding them. We have a really innovative calendar that provides for what we call an intersession. So 8 weeks out of a year, students do an in-depth immersion experience where they get to pursue their passions and really discover what their interests are and have really robust internships and all sorts of things like that. It's a very student-driven community and culture where students take a lot of leadership for their activities and for what they pursue and what they do.
So this next question I ask all my guests, just because I love hearing about it and our audience loves hearing about, what advice you would give to young entrepreneurs or people who want to be successful in life. Do you have any advice in those regards?
Follow your passions. Do what you love and what you believe in. Do it very well. When you commit all the way, and always do what is right, what you know to be right. And I think sometimes people ask, well, how do you know what's right? And what I say is, you know what's right, but we can talk ourselves out of doing what's right. So follow your values and your ethics and your instincts and do what's right, and that will ultimately pay off. Because when you're an entrepreneur, you can't imagine how many times you'll come to a place where you have options to do what you know is right and to go in a different direction that seems like it might be advantageous, but it's not right. Do what's right.
Very good advice. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you.